Hello, my name's Mary.
My name's Luke.
And welcome to Totally Schway Flip Side, a podcast about whatever the hell I want it to be about. Today, we're going to talk about episode 6 of Caped Crusader.
Yes, so if you haven't seen the episode already, don't listen to this because it's going to be full of spoilers. I mean, unless you never plan on watching the show and just want to get like an overview of what happens and, you know, all the interesting stuff. In which
How
case,
dare you?
that might be okay. But honestly, this is a great show, and I recommend that you actually take the time to sit down and watch it, and don't let us spoil it for you.
Yeah, defo.
But shall we jump straight into it?
Yes. So this one is a supernatural episode, or
Dun, dun, dun.
so it seems.
No, it is a supernatural episode.
It is a supernatural episode. It's really cool because it brings back, again, I keep bringing back BTAS and everything like that. There was quite a few supernatural type things in BTAS.
Not originally there wasn't. If you remember, they very deliberately went out of their way not to have supernatural characters. So like the Phantasm was not a ghost. It was Andrea. I said Andrea Romano then. Andrea Beaumont. It wasn't until they did the new Batman, The Adventures of Batman and Robin.
Yeah.
That they started to introduce more supernatural things.
Yeah.
Like Thoth Capera in Avatar, the Egyptian. I mean, she was kind of like a mummy,
Something
demonic
like
thing
that.
that sucked life out of people.
Yeah.
That sounds familiar, doesn't it? Maybe we'll talk more about that later on.
Yeah.
But in this one, this is the 6th episode, so they're 6 episodes in, they're already putting in ghosts.
Yeah. I like it. Have to say, not one of my favorite episodes. Because I kept waiting for the Scooby-Doo reveal. And I'm going to continuously say that throughout this podcast episode. So, Luke, do you want to describe the gentleman ghost?
Yes, so, I mean, the episode opens with a security truck loaded with money. And they're riding through, like, a poor neighbourhood. And this is money that's been collected by a charity to benefit the poor people. And suddenly, ahead of them, a spectral horseman approaches at speed and pulls up alongside them. And I think he says, "Stand and deliver," indicating that, he is a highwayman. And he has a kind of plummy British accent, English accent, excuse me. And he shoots out their engine and makes off with the money, which causes them a lot of confusion.
Yes, that accent is very vital to the storyline.
Yes, it is. Now, obviously, Batman, being who he is, he investigates the crimes and he refuses to believe that it's possibly a ghost. Alfred suggests that it might be, because there's a really nice moment where Alfred and Lucius Fox talk about one of Alfred's uncles who reckons he saw a ghost out on the moors.
Yeah.
I think it was the ghost of his aunt or something. The ghost was allegedly looking for the dog, going like, "Where is..." whatever the dog's name was. Scrabbles, I'm going to say. "Where is Scrabbles?" And they have a good laugh about it. But Batman does not engage in this line of thinking.
He's like, "No, Bubs, that's not it." No. Oh, that's the wrong character.
Wolverine calls them Bub, not Bubs.
Oh, I say Bubs.
I know you do.
Yeah, Batman is kind of like me, where it's like, I don't believe in that sort of stuff. And I'm like, like I said, the whole episode until the very end, I was like, where is my Scooby-Doo reveal? It was the train conductor wearing a neon outfit.
You were expecting it to be the ancestor of Gentleman Ghost, Robert Craddock, who's selling the family estate to Lucius Fox, basically.
Yeah, because he wants to get rid of it. He wants to dump it.
And that seems to be the thing that instigated the return of Gentleman Jamie Craddock. Because, well, we'll just go into his backstory. So he was a royalist because the King of England had given his family all of this land to build their estate on. But he was far from a gentleman. He was a gambler, he was a drinker, and he lost most of his money, and he turned to robbery. But he refused to steal from people like himself, who he viewed to be the elites. He would never do that. He stole from the ungrateful everyman.
He's an anti-Robin Hood.
That's right, yes. So he steals from the poor to maintain his own wealth. Now, he was eventually caught and hanged and obviously executed. But he has now returned, presumably because of the sale of his estate, which he is very protective of. And he is outraged that it is being sold to a common person like Lucius Fox. Now, there's an underlying hint of racism there, but the Gentleman Ghost views all people of, how does he describe it? Like lesser breeding, I suppose. No, not lesser breeding. It was basically all the poor people, regardless of their skin colour, their gender, their ethnicity. He views them all as being less than him, and they should not be touching his land. Funnily enough, he when he fights Batman, he's like, "You seem to be a man of some pedigree, so I will spare you this once."
Oh, there is a scene in it where he meets Harvey.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. So that's part of the ongoing subplot about Harvey Dent's mayoral campaign. So he's trailing behind Mayor Jessup in the polls. So his assistant, I've forgotten his name, begins with a G, arranges like a PR opportunity for him to ride the train with the everyday people and just talk to them about how what he's going to do is going to improve their lives. Well, Gentleman Ghost turns up and robs them. And Harvey Dent says, "Leave them alone. You can just take my money." And he's like, "I would never dare to thieve from one such as you. It's these plebs. I'll take all of their money."
Yeah.
And it goes badly for Harvey Dent. The press make it out like he's a coward, that he did nothing to save the poor people from being robbed, that he just stood there. And, this is the start of his downfall, because he trails even further in the polls, and he picks up a phone and he calls Rupert Thorne and says, "All right, Thorne, let's make a deal.
Deal with that devil." There are a few devils in this series, as always in a Batman show.
Yep.
So, spoiler alert, he really is a ghost.
Yes.
Yeah, there was no Scooby-Doo moment. And if any of you guys have listened to Totally Schway, y'all know I'm not a fan of Scooby-Doo, but I was still expecting it. I was like, the hell? What is this? What is this? But there is a really enduring scene, I think, when the Gentleman Ghost and Batman are fighting. Somehow, Alfred gets involved.
Oh, yes.
As Alfred does sometimes.
Yeah, well.
And you see the true care that Bruce and Batman actually have for Alfred, because they save Alfred.
Yeah, so Batman goes to Linton Midnight, which is a deep cut reference. I wasn't actually very familiar with this character, but apparently he's like a voodoo Constantine. I think he is actually a character in Constantine, but or Hellblazer, I should say. And he gives Batman the means to defeat Gentleman Ghost, but there's a price to pay. And he hands Batman this little vial and says, "You'll know what to do with it when the time comes." So they have to get the deed to the land, and they need to burn it and also spill some blood of a nobleman. Turns out Alfred Pennyworth's family go back to the nobleman of England. Of course they do. So he has to bring Alfred along with him. I thought he would use his own blood, but I guess the Waynes weren't necessarily noblemen, were they?
They were just rich.
Yeah, they were just nouveau riche. And the thing is, it kind of works. So they cause Gentleman Ghost to burst into flames, and he turns into a plume of smoke. But the thing is, that wasn't enough to fully get rid of him. And the smoke, we saw this in the trailer, where the smoke comes towards Alfred and it takes him over, essentially. And Gentleman Ghost does possess Alfred and starts attacking Batman as Alfred. And there's something you alluded to in an earlier episode where you talked about Alfred's secrets. Gentleman Ghost, one of the first things he said is like, this old boy is trying to fight me. And, what's this? There's a secret right at the front of his mind that he desperately doesn't want you to know.
Yeah.
Wouldn't you like to know what it is, Batman?
Again, another spoiler alert. we don't know, and we do not find out what this secret is.
No. So there will be all sorts of theories about what it could be. Personally, I think it kind of ties back to that scene in, what was it, episode 3?
Yeah, it was the Catwoman episode.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, it was episode 3.
Yeah, so it was the flashback to Alfred like polishing the car while he's waiting for the Waynes to come back. Mm-hmm. And then he hears gunshots in an alleyway. And he drops everything and sprints down there to see what's happened. Because, I mean, he knows what's happened, surely. I think his secret is probably going to be something kind of mundane, but it's something that has completely torn him apart for years. I suspect that he may have seen the man who shot the Waynes running away, or he might have run past him in a kind of like a Spider-Man style moment, you know, where Spider-Man didn't stop the robber that killed Uncle Ben.
Uncle Ben, yeah.
And he's going to feel tremendous guilt. And that also feeds into why he acts the way he does around Bruce. He's not... he tries to be a supportive fatherly figure, but Bruce won't let him. Mm-hmm. And there's just something so terribly sad about Alfred in this show. He desperately wants Bruce to be normal and to be happy, and it's just not going to happen. But he will support him in his mission, because it's the only thing he can do to make him... I mean, he's not even make him normal, but it's to make him seem normal with his Bruce Wayne facade. Mm-hmm. And, when Batman completes the spell and Gentleman Ghost is expunged from Alfred, and Batman holds out this little vial that the guy gave him. What was his name? Linton Midnight, something like that. I had it written down somewhere. If I had any sense, I'd bring it up. Oh, wait, I'm doing it. Oh, Linton yes. Midnight, there we go.
This spreadsheet that you don't use.
I do use it when I'm writing videos. I just don't use it with the podcast recording, but I'll start doing it now.
I want more of Midnight.
Well, we're going to see more of him because the reaction from Gentleman Ghost when he's handed over is really
No, I'm talking about, like, ominous. I want, like, in the next season or something.
Yeah, you will. More. We will. I bet we will. Because Batman hands over the vial, and Gentleman Ghost is, oh, please, no, not him. I'll do anything. Anything you want. Anything but go with him. Mm-hmm. And Batman asks him, what are you going to do with the Gentleman Ghost? He says, it's none of your concern.
Yeah.
And then he walks away.
I love that.
So... ominous things for the next season. But poor Alfred, he has a lot taken out of him by being possessed by Gentleman Ghost, and he is desperately trying to fight it off. At one point, he like breaks through and says to Batman, you have to kill me before he makes me kill you, which is just so indicative of this Alfred. He would rather die than have anything bad happen to Bruce again.
Yeah. That he can't help him with.
Yeah, absolutely. It's like, if my death will save you, then I'm doing it right away. Mm-hmm. And, you know, obviously Batman does defeat the Gentleman Ghost. And this is the closest thing we see to an emotional Batman, is when he's like, God damn it, Pennyworth, I almost lost you. I can't do this without you. In his Batman voice, not even in his Bruce Wayne voice.
Yeah, like I said, it's a good episode. It's a good episode. Because of, like, the emotion and stuff behind it. It's just not one of my favourites.
Yeah, and I think it's worth saying that there are no bad episodes of Caped Crusader.
No,
spoilers.
There are no bad... Well, I haven't seen the last one. I'm waiting to watch the last episode until right before we do the 10th podcast episode of the Caped Crusader. So I want to be... Is it going to be anticlimactic? Is it going to be surprising? I don't know. Will we know Alfred's secrets?
Next season, hopefully.
It's probably just... My name is not Alfred, it's Al.
It's Albert. You've been calling me Alfred all these years.
It's Albert.
Yeah, I mean, I like this episode. I thought it was a very refreshing change in tone. Mm-hmm. Because, like you said, you know, we were expecting some sort of Scooby-Doo reveal going, see, it's not really the supernatural. Because, you know, obviously this show is set in the 1940s and it's supposed to be a realistic depiction of the time and there were no ghosts back then. Oh.
See, I really like supernatural things in TV shows and all of that and sci-fi things, but I think the main thing I don't like about it is the fact that I myself thought there was a Scooby-Doo moment.
Yeah, well, because you were expecting this to be a more realistic world, and there weren't really ghosts in Batman the Animated Series anyway. And they've subverted that expectation by going headfirst into the supernatural.
Which is good.
Yeah, there's a really great scene, actually, in Craddock Manor, I think it's called, or Craddock Hall, whatever, where Lucius Fox is signing the paperwork for the sale. And like the painting of James Craddock on the wall starts to like vibrate and then it falls off. And Craddock climbs out of the back of the painting. And it was such a delightfully creepy shot.
Oh, it's so... And I've said this, and I think you've said this. It's so reminiscent of older movies.
Yeah.
And like the beautiful creepiness of that really does remind me of like Hitchcock or Hammer Horror or, you know, a lot of silent films.
Yes.
And where they... a lot of physical acting.
Yeah.
Had to be done. And I love that.
Yeah. And you just reminded me as well, because I was just thinking about that scene when Batman turns up and Lucius Fox and Robert Craddock, I think his name was, they run away. Lucius Fox is like, the first thing I'm doing is tearing this house down. And Robert Craddock goes, please do.
Yeah. I love... See, the comedy in this is so spot on. Like, it comes in at the perfect moments.
Yeah.
And the voice acting, again, fantastic. Storyline, great. It's just like I said, my own expectations. It's me, not you.
Yeah. Yeah. And I just want to reiterate what I was alluding to earlier, in that this show is not meant to be a realistic depiction of what it was like in the 1940s. All right? It is a 1940s inspired world that has weird science like Clayface's face-altering serum and Catwoman's electrified knuckle dusters and the machinery that will be used with Nocturna later on. And then it's also got the supernatural.
Yeah.
Like Gentleman Ghost and Nocturna.
And it's also got a masked vigilante that gets the shit kicked out of him nearly every night. And still continues to go without actually ruining himself within a week.
Yeah.
So let's just remember that. How realistic is that?
Yeah. And it's funny, at the time of recording, Amazon just unveiled the female penguin. And of course, I mean, I don't use Twitter anymore, but some people have sent me screenshots of things that people are saying about it on Twitter. And of course, the blue check marks are
the ones that people have to buy nowadays.
Yeah, the you know, the sorts, the people that spend money to try and give themselves an illusion of clout, when actually all it does is makes them look like a dickhead. They're having their typical reaction of like, this show has been ruined. You've just killed the show dead because Penguin's a lady. Oh my God, my dude, please, just for once, sit down and examine yourself. Why are you having this reaction?
Yeah.
Oh my God. And you know...
Who said Penguin couldn't be a lady penguin?
Oh, I know we're going on a tangent here and it's not really related to Gentleman Ghost.
Before, but whatever.
They should just wait until they watch it. And I've seen some funny remarks from people that are saying true Batman fans would never accept this. I'm like, well, wait a minute. The Penguin has been depicted in multiple different ways across different media. You know, Tim Burton made him a weird little goblin that lived in the sewer.
Yeah.
In The Batman, he was a red-headed kung fu fighting penguin.
Say what?
Yeah, Burgess Meredith was quite faithful to the comics.
But it's a comic book. It's fictional.
Yeah.
And you can have this character. The creators of these TV shows and these comics can do whatever they want because it's a fictional thing. And if they want to make a lady penguin, they can. You know what? If they wanted to make the penguin a robot...
Yeah.
They could very well do that.
I think they have done that before, actually. There has been a robot penguin. But the reason I bring this up is that this version of Gentleman Ghost is very faithful to the comic book version. Mm-hmm. And the reason why it is so faithful is because it's not something they did in Batman the Animated Series. They were talking about including Gentleman Ghost, and he did show up in Justice League Unlimited very briefly. But they would not do a supernatural character like this in that show, and that's why they've done it here. They are very deliberately trying out different things to see what sticks. And frankly, I think they've nailed it across the board.
I think they have too.
Now, it doesn't mean that, every version of Penguin or whatever character they've changed is now erased. For God's sake, come on. I know I'm probably preaching to the choir here, but I'm going to stop talking about these people because they're raising my blood pressure. But
so I think that's probably about it for this episode, for the main part of the story.
Yeah, I mean, we can still talk more about the significance of Harvey Dent's decline here.
Yeah.
Because the whole thing about Harvey Dent, we touched on this before, is that yes, he's corrupt in the sense that he makes favourable deals for his friends and the wealthy. Mm-hmm. But he stops at the point of objective criminality.
See, this is the difference between, say, Harvey Bullock and Harvey.
Harvey Dent.
Yeah, Harvey Dent. I'm so used to saying toothpaste. And it is quite early in the morning. Is Harvey can turn back.
Yeah.
Other Harvey, no. No.
Oh, well, I guess
well, right now, we should say.
Yeah. So, but it's the thing. This is the thing this is the start of his downfall, as I said, because he compromises his core moral value in order to win. Winning is more important to him at this point than being, what's the word I'm looking for? Not faithful. Being true to his word, being true to himself, being a decent person. He's completely breaking the rules in order to win. Now, his argument is that he is going to clean up the corruption in Gotham. That's the only way you can do it. The only way to do it is from the inside. You can't be someone like Barbara Gordon trying to affect change from the outside. It just doesn't work. It doesn't happen. And we'll find out later on what happens with Harvey Dent's plan there.
Yeah, that is in... not next episode, but the episode after that.
Yeah, it's 2 episodes from now.
Yeah.
Ironically, 2 episodes from now.
Although it wasn't one of my favorites, I did like the emotion in it. Obviously, as I've mentioned. And I also like the fact that we get more Alfred. Because Alfred, a different version of Alfred, I really like this version.
Yeah.
I really do. I don't think there's a version of Alfred that I don't like.
Yeah. And one thing we didn't really talk about very much, and probably should have mentioned it sooner, is that Lucius Fox is buying up, it's called Heritage Hill, isn't it? That's the name of the craddock.
Heritage Hill, yeah.
And that is like very poignantly named, considering like the Heritage Foundation and their manifesto for the Republican future.
And I love the fact that it's Lucius Fox.
Well, yes, Lucius Fox is buying it, but Bruce Wayne had been eyeing it up as a site for a low-income housing community that he was going to build. And that gives you an insight into how Bruce Wayne uses his money. They don't make a big deal out of it. They just mention it, that he's been he's been buying up land outside of Gotham and building low-income housing. High-quality low-income housing, I should add. And we'll see some of that in the next episode. But Lucius Fox makes a remark about a side fund that he is not allowed to look at, and he has no idea what Bruce is using this money for. And he's like, I'm just looking at it as spending money, when it's his Batman fund.
I am so happy that we see a bit more of Lucius Fox as well. I know we get to see a bit more of Alfred, but with Lucius Fox, I really like that character, and I really want to see more. Yeah,
because Lucius Fox and Alfred have got a really good rapport. They're very friendly with each other, and Lucius doesn't call him Pennyworth, he calls him Alfred.
Yeah.
And, he makes a remark to Bruce when he calls him Pennyworth, like, I was raised with manners, to treat people like people. And call them by their name.
Yeah.
Which is very, it's foreshadowing.
I was raised by a fox and a turtle, and I just call people by the name that is on their t-shirt. That's how I was raised. Bruce, on the other hand, still wants to call him Pennyworth. Although
Yeah, he's the help.
in some iterations of Batman, he's very friendly with him.
Oh yeah, of course. Like in Batman the Animated Series, Alfred is his father. You know, he's the man that raised him.
Yeah.
He followed him around the world when he went off to do his training.
But God forbid, there be a lady penguin.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's pretty much sums up this episode. There are a lot of things. I think with this episode, we will be talking. We might go back to this episode and talk about it in the next 3 or 4 episodes, because it's kind of the beginnings of something with Harvey and this and this.
Yes.
So thank you so much for listening, and like this video if you want to. And we will see you, hopefully in a few seconds, on episode 7 of our Caped Crusader journey.
Yeah, thanks everyone. Bye-bye.
Bye. Bye-bye. Night-night.